One thing I will say, because I'm recording, is that first of all, the recording, this will be published up on our YouTube page. And so your names do not show up in the recording. So you don't have to worry about that. If you feel like concerned about any other privacy, feel free to go ahead and turn your monitor off. Although I would ask when we go into breakout rooms, if you're able to, if your monitor works, to turn your video back on when we're in the breakout rooms, because that's a little more personal. So, hi everybody. I'm Sami Aaron. I'm the founder of the Resilient Activist. And what I'd like to do is let's just go around the room and tell us your name, where you are, and one sentence about what brought you here today. And I know it's a little confusing because we had a whole different topic and a whole different presenter up until a couple of days ago. And so we've kind of shifted that. Hi, Hillary. Glad you're here for as long as you're able to be with us. So just kind of what brought you here or what's on your mind today. So I'll let you unmute yourself. And my circle is Ann Melia. Hi, good morning.
Hi, I'm Ann Melia, and I'm in Prairie Village, which is suburban Kansas City. And I had originally planned to attend just because AY was going to present, and I've heard him a couple of times and got to meet him and think he's wonderful, and I'm excited about his everything he's doing. But I was happy to see that Sami was going to be presenting instead, because I think right now is a great time to learn more about mindfulness, and just with everything that's been going on. I think we can all always learn more. So I'm excited for what you have to share today.
Great, Ann, it's good to see you. Let's see, Ruth, how about you? Oh, you need to unmute yourself, please.
You had introduced us on Zoom to AY, and I was excited to hear more from him. But I'll take in whatever I can learn about mindfulness and meditation.
That's great, Ruth. AY is currently scheduled to do this program April 17th. So that'll be during Earth.
Somebody has a dog barking.
Yeah, I might invite you all to mute yourselves. If you can, whoever's got that dog barking. Glad you're here, Ruth. Okay. Let's see, Sandy, how about you?
Okay, there it is. My finger wasn't working. I'm Sandy Sturm, and we're currently in southern Utah, just outside of Zion National Park. This is where we're wintering over. As you can tell, I'm in an RV, so. And Sami and I met in Minneapolis during the client reality training. And I just love everything you do. So finally, my world is come around to where I can jump back in and participate. And I'm working on a big project, and I think this will help, just keep me upbeat and positive. So
that's great, Sandy. I'm glad you're here, and I'm excited for your project. And I invite you to take a minute at the end of our program today if you want to talk about it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Phoebe, how about you?
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to see you all. My name is Phoebe. I'm currently in St. Louis, so it's very cold outside, but sadly there's no snow. And all the experiences I've had with mindfulness have been incredibly beneficial, and I'm really interested in the overlap.
I think we lost Phoebe.
Even social justice. I think they pair together very well, and I'm interested in all of that. So, yeah.
That's great. Glad you're here, Phoebe. Brenda, how about you?
Well, I am a Resilient Activist groupie and a climate conversation regular in Lawrence, Kansas. And I don't know, I just always show up for whatever's on tap. That's it.
Cool. Hillary, how about you?
Hi, Hillary Noonan, Kansas City, Missouri, West Plaza neighborhood. Phoebe, I lived in the Central West End for 7 years. And I'll put my email in the chat because working on soil health initiative for the state of Missouri. And if you're interested, drop me an email. Soil health is one of those things that if we pay attention to it, it could just do a huge amount of good for us and keep us producing food.
Glad you're
So,
here, Hillary.
and Sami, I find myself mentioning you and this group several times a week to different people. So if I didn't know otherwise, I would know how important it is to me just because I keep bringing it up. So
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sally, how about you?
Hi, I'm Sally Betta from Overland Park, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City. And Ruth Higginbotham told me about the climate conversations, and I was interested in that. And then when it was changed to the mindfulness, well, I'm interested in that too. So that's why I'm here.
Cool. Glad you're here, Sally. Ann Null, how about you?
Good morning. Good to be here. I guess I would echo Brenda and Hillary that I'm a groupie in terms of your mindfulness presentation. Sami, I really benefited from April's daily mindfulness. That was incredible, and always interested in what you have to say about climate conversations and resilience around that issue. Yeah, here from Overland Park, Kansas. Good to be here.
Glad you're here, Ann. Sandra, Sandy, how do you go?
Sandy, thank you.
Sandy, okay.
I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I just happened to see this on a list of activities. I'd never heard of any of this before, but I am the co-chair of the Lawrence chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby, trying to get a price on carbon. I also run a special, an environmental ed project. And I'm very involved in Shinzen Young's Unified Mindfulness. So I thought when I saw Sami's resume, and I thought, wow, there's somebody who's interested in a lot of things that I am. I was very excited. So here I am.
Oh, glad to have you, Sandy. So there's a lot of interaction between the Resilient Activist and Lawrence, Kansas. So I'm glad you're on our email list. You'll see some more programs coming out.
Okay, great.
Robert, good morning. How are you?
Very good morning. Sorry, I just saw the notice for this meeting this morning and thought I'd jump in while I could, so I'm a little bit late. But I've known Sami for quite a few number of years, and I'm good friends with her sister who runs our local beekeeping club. I'm also in Overland Park. And so I was interested in what Sami has to say.
Glad you're here, Rob. Let's see, Barbara, I think that's you. If you'd like to unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm from Lee Summit, Missouri, and I've been involved in conservation of natural resources. So I just thought I'd sit in on this and see what I could learn. Thank you.
That's great. I'm glad you're here. So yeah, we're going to be real informal today. I have a formal practice that we're going to go through a PowerPoint that'll be a rather formal presentation, but what I'd like you to do is just feel very informal. And so when I share my screen, I won't be able to see everybody. If you have a question, you have something you want to interject or add, just feel free to unmute yourself at that time and just butt in. And hopefully at some point I'll quit talking and I can hear that you're trying to say something. We will have a couple of breakout sessions, and that's just really, it's hard to do a big group on Zoom and be able to really have interactions. So there'll be just small groups, kind of a couple of different points within the presentation. And the only thing I will say is I am going to have to be watching for if anybody else comes in on the call. So just kind of forgive me if I'm a little distracted or I'm going like this or something like that, because that's just kind of the nature of being the admin and the presenter on a Zoom call. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started here. Give me just a minute to get everything where I can kind of see what I'm doing. And okay, so welcome to Mindfulness for a Resilient World. It's going to be fun to draw together the concept of paying attention to your thoughts and your actions and your breath and your body, and how that relates to paying attention to how you are and how you live, especially with the natural world. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging that this program, created in the Kansas City area, and I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, is on the ancestral lands of the Osage, the Kaw, the Kickapoo, and the Sioux Native American tribes. We honor our Indigenous elders and know we have much to learn from them about how to live in deep connection to the natural world. So first, I want to just be sure you know there will be a resources list. I'll show you the link at the end of this presentation. It's a page on our website, and I'll include it in a follow-up when I send out the link to the recording. So any organization or URL or whatever book that I mention will be included in that resources link. So I definitely encourage you to have paper and pencil to be able to write with when we do some journaling. But other than that, don't feel like you have to try and capture every single thing that comes up about different resources, okay, because you'll have that. So I am a meditation teacher focusing on nature-centered meditation. I am an environmental activist, and I volunteer with a number of environmental groups, mostly focusing on land use and restoration of pollinator habitat. I am a K-State Extension Master Naturalist through the Johnson County K-State Extension Office. And for those of you who don't know about what's a Master Naturalist, this is a relatively new program on the Kansas side. It's been around on the Missouri side and in other states for a while. I think it's about 5 or 6 years old on the Kansas side. And it's under the K-State Extension. So if you're familiar with the Master Gardeners program, this is very similar to that in its structure. But Master Gardeners programs focus on gardening for humans for the most part. Vegetables, landscaping, you know, around your home and your office. The Master Naturalist program focuses on ecosystems. So yes, a lot of what we talk about is plants and soil and, you know, the right plant in the right place, but there are other aspects bringing in wildlife, clean air, clean water, and so on with that program. And they are just now, if you're on the Kansas side, they're taking applications for their training for this year, which I think is going to start in March. And right now it's all scheduled to be on Zoom. So you can be anywhere in the state of Kansas. Cool program. I am a nature connection educator through a method called the Nature Process. And I'm a registered yoga teacher with Yoga Alliance. I've focused during my yoga teaching times. I don't really teach yoga at this moment, but focused on the healing practices. So physical pain, emotional pain, grief, deep meditation was kind of the focus of my yoga practice, as well as something called Yoga Nidra, which is deep guided yoga sleep. I am a climate reality leader. Sandy mentioned in her introduction, we met through training at Al Gore's Climate Reality Leadership Training Program. And it gave me an opportunity to glean a more global perspective on climate change and climate justice. I am the founder of the Resilient Activist, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. So our mission at the Resilient Activist, we are a 501c C3, said that backwards. Our mission is to build resilience, optimism, and hope in response to the impact of the climate crisis. We provide community building programs that offer inspiration, self-care, and mental health support. Our programs are immersed in deep nature connection and designed to nourish positive ecological change. We're a coordinating partner with the Kansas City Conservation Equity Network to expand justice, diversity, and equity and inclusion in land use organizations and to promote racial equity in the environment. So today's agenda, I invite you to have a journal if you'd like, as you start to kind of make notes about topics that call to you. If you're the kind of person who's comfortable digitally, sometimes it's nice to do that journal on your computer if you can figure out how to manage the screens at the same time. But today we're going to be talking about mindfulness and meditation and the distinction between them, because there's a little bit of semantics understanding. And we're especially going to focus on topics of meditation. So what's the value of it? How do you meditate? What types of meditations are there? Is meditation a form of prayer? How can you develop a personal meditation practice? And then we're going to talk about and experience a guided meditation practice, visualizing the 5 essentials for a resilient world. And we'll talk more about those in a little bit. We'll be talking about the benefits of time spent in nature and how you can use nature, mindfulness, and meditation to uplift and support you personally and also at work. And I think that's our agenda today. So feel free, we will take a break probably around 11 o'clock, a few minute break. But if you need to take a break yourself, just go ahead. I'm getting an internet connection's unstable. I hope that's not going to be an issue. So let's talk a little bit about definitions of mindfulness and meditation. So mindfulness is a way of being in the world. It's an opportunity to be present and focused and in this moment. We spend so much of our time thinking about the past or planning on the future, right? So mindfulness is, let's just be right here, right now. Mindfulness is body and breath awareness, knowing that our body and our breath constantly notify us of how safe, secure, happy, fearful, and hesitant that we are just by changes through our body and our breath. And mindfulness is a way of intentionally living from your heart, like really thinking and planning and analyzing from a quiet space what calls to you and what's really important. Meditation, on the other hand, is just a formal mindfulness practice, okay? It's saying, I'm going to take this time, this place, this particular process, and I'm going to be very mindful for that length of time. I'm going to really practice being mindful during this period. And then that helps to spread that way of living out into the rest of your life. So meditation is just the formal minutes that you spend practicing mindfulness, okay? Everything about meditation helps deepen your mindfulness actions. So, oops, I don't want to do that. So mindfulness is the underlying premise of a meditation practice, and it flows into everyday mindfulness. And everything can be mindful. It's a way to take every moment of your life into your heart and your thoughts. It's a practice of being fully present in each activity, noticing what TV shows you choose to watch and what conversations you decide to have. Mindfulness practice gives you the opportunity to pay close attention to whatever you're working on. It's the exact opposite of multitasking, exact opposite. It's an opportunity for you to give others your full attention and not be distracted. And then mindfulness of nature enhances your connection to the natural world and how you interact with it. And that can inform the choices you make to support a more resilient and healthier planet. So in general, the steps that I'm going to list here are the basis of a meditation practice. And I'm going to talk about them in more detail throughout this workshop. So meditation is setting an intentional time for meditation practice. It's being in a comfortable, safe space without interruptions or distractions. It's nurturing your body so it can be supported and relaxed. It's setting a focus, an intention statement or prayer. And then it's practicing a specific technique or style, sometimes called your anchor. So the anchor is the whole point of meditation practice is reining in some of those 60,000 thoughts that you have a day. And sometimes you have them overlapping, right? So an anchor is, instead of letting your brain go as whatever it wants to do with all your thoughts, you focus instead on an anchor on a particular thing. So in our everyday world, what does a meditation practice really look like? Well, there's more meditation teacher styles in schools than you'll ever be able to wrap your mind around. So this is the resilient activist explanation for everything you need to know. You can practice meditation privately, in groups, or as you'll see today, even in online meeting rooms. You can meditate in a glorious meditation hall situated in a breathtaking nature retreat center, or you can meditate in a closet-sized personal sanctuary in your backyard or even in bed. You can be silent, or you can include chanting or repetition of a phrase. Some meditations include movement. All of them embody stillness and conscious relaxation, which is really the point, right? You can sit, lie down, stand, or even walk during meditation. Operating a dangerous vehicle while your mind is in a blissed out state is, needless to say, not recommended. Your eyes can be open or closed. You can do a 5-minute body relaxation and take 3 deep breaths, or you can go on silent retreat for 10 days. You can guide yourself through a meditation. You can attend classes or workshops, or you can listen to recordings by your favorite teachers. What's a dress code? Well, you can wear multicolored flowing robes with a cool neon flashing shawl, or you can just unbutton your jeans so you can breathe more comfortably. And then there's pajamas, always pajamas. So you can see there's no one way to meditate. There's no right or wrong way. You can customize a practice that feels just right for you. And I've got some slides coming up that will give you a little more information about how simple that can be, okay? But let's talk first about the value of meditation. So the true value of meditation and living a mindful life is that it just feels good. It feels in alignment with our highest and most inspired dreams. It's living in symbiosis with everyone you love, as well as the earth, water, air, wildlife, and plants around us. According to numerous studies, meditation can provide these benefits I'm going to list in a minute here. And in the resources link, references to all these articles and studies you'll find there. There are studies that show meditation relaxes the body, expands the breath. It shifts you into that relaxation response versus that fight or flight mode. It helps you focus your thoughts. Meditation promotes clarity and inspiration. There's studies on this. It increases kindness and compassion. It provides stress and tension relief and eases physical pain. And it helps us develop emotional resilience for any anxiety, grief, and depression. So we're going to take a little break here in a minute and go into some breakout rooms. For just about 8 minutes, have 3 people in a room. It'll take me just a minute to set you all up in that. So about 2 minutes for each of you to introduce yourself and just discuss the value that you know of about meditation or what you've heard today and how you understand it or what it might mean to you, what feels important or interesting to you to know more about. And then we'll have you'll have at the end of that just a couple of minutes just for general conversation. So I just invite everybody to I'm going to stop the share here, to be very conscious about not taking over the call, the breakout room. And also, if you're the kind of person who doesn't really like to talk that much, know that that's okay too, right? That it's an open space, and you're welcome to experience this however you want. So give me just a minute here, and we'll create these rooms. So we have 3 rooms, 2 rooms of 3 and 1 of 4. And so I'll just let you, what I'd like to do is have you go in the order, introduce yourself, and go in the order of whoever woke up earliest this morning. And that person will go first, and then you'll go in that order in your breakout rooms, okay? So just whatever you've heard today or whatever you know calls to you about mindfulness. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna write that down. That's because that's a very long story.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Okay, I think we have everybody back. I've got the recording going back again. So what I'd like to do is, since this, someone's saying something? Okay, if this is climate conversations, I would love to hear some conversation about what did you say? What did you hear someone say that you went, oh, good idea? Or what connections did you make or whatever? So just anybody, just kind of literally raise your hand, and I would just love to hear any of your impressions. Ruth, go ahead.
I'm just so excited that I, through Robert, now have a source of local honey.
Uh-oh.
Good stuff. And Robert makes all, Robert, do you sell some of your elderberry stuff or anything?
Yeah, well, I don't sell it. I give it away to friends.
Oh, so you get to be his friend. That's great. Who else?
Robert, thank you from the bees.
Oh, there's a lot of us out there, and thanks Sami for all the support she gives to us and beekeepers too.
Yeah. Sandy, go ahead. Sandy Sturm.
I think what I was hearing is we all know it's good, but we don't take time to do it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you a little story. Don't let me forget, okay? Before we go back to the recording. So remind me. Ann Null, how about you?
A couple of things. I think one we said, particularly in this environment of COVID and political unrest, it seems that it's more, I guess, necessary, more in front of us to be availing ourselves of mindfulness and meditation. And then I think we said it's often helpful to have someone leading us in it. We talked about Insight Timer, where we can get to use Sami in a couple of years. And then finally, a question: how many years have you been doing this? Was asked in our breakout group.
Okay, so that's the second person that's asked that since we came back from the breakout group, and I think that's 2 different groups. So I will answer that also. What was the first thing I was going to answer? You don't have the time.
Yeah, I guess is it necessary or helpful to be directed in it in
okay.
meditation practice? May depend on one's personality.
Yep. Okay, good question. Who else? Anybody else have anything? Ann, Melia?
Well, I just wanted to say that I really like seeing Ann Knoll's like meditation prayer closet, and I'm inspired. I don't have a space like that in my house to set up, but I just think that idea of having a place that you create is really important. Even if it's just, that you set up when you meditate or something, but just having a place where you can just kind of feel safe and get away and know you're not going to be disturbed like you talked about. And she's actually done that. So I think that's really cool.
That is cool, because if you're in your office meditating, or you're in your bedroom meditating, or in your kitchen meditating, there's all kinds of things you could be distracted by, right? Like, it's what we do best. It's what our mind has practiced really your whole life, is what else it could notice. So yeah, setting aside a specific place is really helpful. Thank you. Anybody else?
So a question to Anne, is that intentional, the pink lighting in the background part of it?
Yeah, it is. It's a light bulb, and I've just kind of played with different colors and landed on pink, and it seems relaxing to me. I don't have electricity in here. It would be nice. I sometimes use an extension cord for a diffuser for essential oils too. I think I did that in April, Sammy. But yes, the pink is intentional.
I like it. It's like looking at you through rose-colored glasses.
I need that.
All right, so I'm going to answer some questions here. As someone I think it was Sandy was mentioning about, you don't have the time. There's always so much going on. When I first started teaching pranayama, which was yoga breathing practices, which was in 2005 or 6. So that answers another question. There was a woman who kept coming to my classes, and she never said boo. And she would come to workshops when I would lead a workshop, and she was just very quiet. She'd come, she'd sit down, she'd practice, she'd go home. And one workshop that I was leading a few years into this, I decided to go around the room and ask everybody, why are you here? How long have you been meditating? Whatever. And so she spoke, and she said, well, I'm a single mom. I have 2 preschoolers. I just got out of an abusive marriage. I'm full-time at school, and I'm back at college, and I have a full-time job. And I don't have time to meditate. So here's what I do. I have a special box of toys for my kids that they can only use when I'm meditating. And we put that on the kitchen table with the kitchen timer, and they get everything set up, and I get set up and get very comfortable. And I set the timer for 2 minutes. So this woman now, fast forward, got her degree, got a great full-time job, became a meditation and yoga teacher, and now quit her job. And that's what she does full-time. And so it's wherever you are, and the amount of minutes that you have available to you is going to be of great benefit. Okay, next question. How did I get started? It's a really deep, difficult conversation. My older son, Kevin, was an environmental activist. He'd gotten his undergrad degree at the University of Oregon with a joint major in environmental studies and sociology, Phi Beta Kappa. He was at Berkeley working on his master's in urban and regional planning with a joint law degree at Hastings School of the Law. And the more he learned about environmental devastation, the interconnection of social injustices, the global perspective and the historical perspectives, the less he felt that he was going to make any difference. And in 2003, we lost him to suicide. So that was my jump. There was one of his close friends said, I'm taking you to yoga. And the whole practice started from there. And it really was a personal practice combined with, so the physical yoga, I was very fortunate that the teacher that she took me to is also a pranayama and meditation teacher. We're very close friends now. In fact, we taught together for a lot of years. And so I was immersed in these really deeper practices, more than just yoga so my body looks great and I have those 6-pack abs, right? It's a whole different type of yoga that I was immersed in. And in addition to that, through many, many years of a lot of deep grief, was time spent in deep nature. And there were days I had to get out in nature. Like I was a software developer. I did custom database development for about 35 years with my own company. And I had to focus. I had to concentrate. I was the breadwinner. My husband and I had done a role reversal years before. And there were days I just couldn't concentrate and I had to be out in nature. And it was an immersion. It was full mindfulness before I had any of those words. Like that's what the practice was. So that was my beginning. And it just flowed from there to teaching people who were in grief. I taught at domestic violence shelter. I taught at Turning Point, which actually I'm going to have another workshop at Turning Point here in Kansas City. It's through University of Kansas Medical Center for people with chronic or life-threatening illnesses and their caregivers. So it's kind of interesting. I'll be doing an Earth Day program. It'll actually be a repeat of this today. So I'm excited to go back to that. But anyway, so just kind of flowing through what interested me, spending so much time in nature and especially down in the Flint Hills of Kansas, I began to learn about native grasses and native plants and the interconnection between land use and farming and ranching and raising cattle and what plants are there, and then understanding the interconnection between these native wildflowers and pollinators and how does that relate to clean water and clean air. And it was just, it just kind of flowed from one thing to the next. And through that whole time, so my son's been gone 17 and a half years, has been in the back of my mind, what might have helped him be more resilient, right? Because the world absolutely needs educated, dedicated, resilient environmental activists. Like that's what we need. And yet it's such a disturbing, such an upsetting role that people put themselves in order to try and make a difference. So that's where the resilient activist came from, was all these tools I gathered during that time that I found very helpful, very beneficial, and just finally retired, closed my software business and said, okay, I think I have all the I got my tool belt full, and let's see what happens. So, okay, that's that. The next one, color meditation. There are 2 color meditations on our website. If you go to theresilientactivist.org / either meditations singular or meditations plural, and there is a link on the front page in the left-hand picture to meditations, and scroll down just a bit. There's 2 pre-recorded guided meditations that focus on color, and they're color meditations. They're different, but anyway, thinking about Anne's choice of color there. And then the last question is, should you have a teacher? Should you listen to recordings? Should you guide yourself? It's a really complicated answer, but I can answer that in one word, and I can say yes. Right. There's no right or wrong. Some days you may want something different than others. Even for me, there's days I prefer to have somebody else guide me, right? And other days, I don't want anybody else's opinions or thoughts or whatever. I need my own. And other days, it's just pure silence. I just go sit somewhere out in nature and just be. And so there isn't even any guidance. So the hard part is I would love to give you a brochure that says do exactly these things. And I am going to do that. There's 9 steps, and it's in that resources page, but they're very simple steps. And within that, you create your own practice. Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, let's get back to it. And I share my screen. So let's start to talk about the different types of meditation, because there are myriad ways to meditate. And these are just some of the most used techniques. Breath awareness and control, that's that practice of pranayama, which is controlling the length, the strength, the focus. So are you focusing on the breath in your sinuses and nostrils? Are you focusing on a deep belly breath? There's all kinds of ways that you can be in control of what you do with your breath for different effects. So if you're really lethargic one day, you might do this particular practice. Whereas if you're really wired and anxious, there's a different practice that you might choose. Okay. There's chanting or repetition of a sound. You can do a visual or sound meditation where you anchor your thoughts on a particular image or object, or you just notice the sounds coming from around you. You can do a nature connection meditation. I'm going to do that in a little bit, focusing on places and objects in the natural world. You can focus on your energy centers. So these are different areas through the body, sometimes called the chakra centers. Do body scan or yoga nidra. This is a great practice for releasing physical tension, offering pain relief. And there, yoga nidra means yoga sleep, and there are practices in the mental health communities that focus on yoga nidra for post-traumatic stress, yoga nidra for severe and chronic pain. And it's a really great practice, one of my favorite ones to teach. There's an analytical meditation. This is for decision-making, planning, or release of grief. And that's what we use for our new Visionary Activist program, is an analytical mindfulness journaling, connecting to nature, journaling to make a plan for what your heart is bubbling up to bring to the world. And finally, there's something called true meditation. And this is the wording that one of my meditation teachers, Adyashanti, talks about. This is just sitting in silence with no specific meditation technique. You just notice, as if you're the witness of your thoughts. You notice your body. You notice your breath and where your breath is coming from and how shallow or deep or fast or slow it is. And you do all that without judgment. And that's really the practice. Okay. So you're going to find some styles that suit your personality better than others. Some days you'll prefer one over another. So for example, if you're experiencing lots of physical tension and stress, the body scan or focus on the energy centers might be the most helpful. If you're focusing on an aspect of your life that you'd like some clarity on, you might prefer a nature connection or analytical meditation. And the reason that I can't give you just one thing to do and tell you this is the right way is because with practice, you're going to come to understand what you need and what you want to use. Okay. So let's talk about how often should you meditate and what length of meditation sessions should you have. So the first thing, how often should you meditate? Well, I suggest you start off with a schedule that feels easy and doable. For some people, once a week might be plenty to get started, but schedule it in your calendar. Let others know you've blocked off that time and would like to not be disturbed. What time of day is best? Well, you'll have to experiment with this. Some people love a sunrise meditation. Others like to meditate at the end of the workday before dinner, and others enjoy meditating before bed. So the only real recommendation is to not try to meditate just after a meal because your body will be focused on digestion. And the other caution is if you meditate in bed or before you go to bed, you may very well just fall asleep, which is not meditation. Not a bad thing if that's what you need, but just so you'll know, it's a little different practice. How long should each session last? I suggest you start small. So whether it's 2 minutes in the kitchen timer or even 5 to 10 minutes could be enough for you to experience the benefits. And then you gradually increase the time by whatever feels right for you. It might be you listen to longer guided meditations online, or you just experiment with increasing the time that you set aside in your calendar. So maybe 10 minutes you're reserving Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you go to 15 minutes, that kind of thing. It can be really helpful to have a timer, and there's some free apps. So Insight Timer is one. It's a free app. It's got a great bell that you can set, and you can set it for 1 or 3 bells and however many minutes that you want. Once you kind of establish what you're doing, for most people, a 20 to 30 minute daily practice works well. Okay. For some people and some times, you might want to do longer, like even set aside a half a day a month where you just go out to nature somewhere and you spend 3 or 4 hours by yourself in mindfulness. How many sessions per day? Well, again, it's up to you. For a lot of people, 1 longer session is perfect, and for others, 2 or 3 shorter sessions feel the best. So here's the ancient meditation wisdom. Ready? Meditate whenever it feels right for as long as you're comfortable, but do it on a regular schedule. So it's called a meditation practice because you have to actually practice it regularly to get the true experience. If you just read about it or learn about it, you're going to miss all the benefits because you're staying in your head. You're staying in a different brainwave frequency than when you actually experience the meditation itself. Experience is the only true teacher. So how do you meditate? Here's our 9 steps. This is not to freak you out. Most of them are very simple, and it just becomes kind of your habit. Okay, so your meditation practice can be as simple or formal as you'd like, and this list is a simple way to practice that you can customize to your liking. And this chart is also on your resources link. So step number 1, make yourself comfortable physically. Gather the props, find a quiet space. The ancient quote about meditation. Sure, Ruth. Meditate. Let me go back to it so I say it correctly. Meditate
As long as it feels right.
For as long as you're comfortable, but do it on a regular schedule. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, the notice is on my other screen, so if I'm not paying attention, it could be years before I notice it. Okay, physical comfort, gather whatever props, find a quiet space for your meditation so you feel safe and comfortable. So whether it's a closet with no electricity or it's a glorious meditation hall, doesn't matter. Make your physical body be very comfortable. You come into mindful presence. So spend a few breaths in mindful awareness of your surroundings. You notice the time of day and the season. Notice your stress level and anything else that's present in your life at that moment. And then you set an intention or a focus. And it's helpful to do that for each meditation session. You ask yourself, what's on my mind? What's bubbling up from my heart today? What's catching my attention? And you just say, for today's meditation, I think I'd like to just not be so stressed. Or for today's meditation, I'd like to not feel like I have to come up with a decision for this particular issue. I just want to acknowledge that issue, give it a little softness and clarity and kindness in my life. Okay, could be whatever you want. Could be a little prayer. Step 4, notice your physical sensations. So literally release the tension through your joints with gentle twists or stretching, whatever you need to do to notice how your shoulders are up or you're clenching your teeth or your gut's constricted. So a body scan where you go through and release the physical sensations. And then do a quieting technique with your breath. There's all kinds of great breathing practices you can do where maybe you just count the number of beats on the inhalation and count the number of beats on the exhalation, and you gradually extend the length of the exhalation. So that gets you into the relaxation response rather than fight or flight mode. Fight or flight mode, you're emphasizing your inhalation and ignoring the exhalation. Relaxation response, you're doing the opposite. You pay attention to the inhalation, but you're really deepening and expanding the exhalation. Or you can just follow the breath in and out through your nostrils. It's just a method of stilling some of those thoughts, bringing your focus of concentration into your breath. And then you determine what meditation technique you're going to use. Some of those that I listed earlier, we'll talk about those a little bit more during the practice. And then you sit in true meditation. So you draw your attention away from your brain, away from any particular technique, and simply be the witness of your thoughts. So up till now, it's really simple. Every day, just get comfortable in a comfortable space. Come into mindful presence. Notice where you are, the day, the time, what's going on in your body and your mind. Set an intention, and then relax through the body, relax through the breath, and come into your meditation technique. When you're finished with that, just notice how it feels. You remember your original focus or intention statement. Notice if there's been any shift in perspective. And then if you still have just a couple moments, send some gratitude. Just sitting in stillness for a moment for all that's right and beautiful in your life in this moment. So 9 steps can feel like a lot, but once you practice them a few times, you'll see it's a really simple way to step into a quiet space and time. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. And what I'd like to do is first ask any questions or comments here, and then we're going to take a little short break. Anybody have anything? Okay, let's just go. Any comments? Anything before we go on? Okay. It's like a few more people we're still waiting on.
I really like your visuals. They're so beautifully colored and organized and really pleasant to look at.
Thank you, Sandy. It's all PowerPoint. I tried to do it in Google Slides, but you can't get those really pretty, like arched forms, and and so I just went back to PowerPoint, and it's fun. The thing with color is very interesting, and how it does impact your thoughts and your brain. And I don't know, I just kind of learning a little more about that. So good. I'm glad you liked it.
Are you PC or Mac?
PC. Yeah. There's probably more you could do on Mac, I imagine.
Well, I have to get a new Mac because I have to file taxes and I can't upgrade my old one to Ben Sur. So
fun. Yeah. All right. Let me share my screen again. And we'll just go on. So the question is meditation a form of prayer? There's some main differences between prayer and meditation. Prayer is external. It's an intention to set a connection to a higher power. Meditation has an internal focus, connecting to your own awareness of body, mind, and breath. Meditation can be part of a divine act or religious practice. It's an intention to connect with God or Holy Spirit. Might include a request or a lamentation. It may be a reading of scripture or an inspirational text. And it could be part of ritual or ceremony. And it might feature chanting or hymns. Meditation, on the other hand, is the concept of being present in the moment, slowing your brainwave frequencies to quiet your thoughts. And there's actually studies that show how the brainwave, the activity level in your brains go down when you're in meditation. Meditation gives you the opportunity to focus on your body and breath or nature. Allows clarity of thought to arise without judgment. That's a hard one. Gives you an opportunity to sit in silence as a quiet observer without any intention, without any focus in particular. And meditation can be secular, can be religious, doesn't have to be, doesn't have to pertain to a particular spiritual belief. But I think you can see that a lot of this could overlap, right? There's contemplative prayer in some traditions, and it's a process that combines prayer and meditation. Basically, meditation can inform prayer, and prayer can complement meditation. There's simply 2 different practices with different intentions that you can use in whatever way brings you ease of mind, body, and spirit. So let's talk about some simple tools to help you start a personal meditation practice. And again, all of this is in your resource page. Taking some quiet time to evaluate or journal each of these thoughts is going to help you personalize your practice, allowing for a deeper, more welcoming commitment. So all the questions are in your link. And what we're going to do right now is one at a time. I have a 2-minute timer, and I'm going to introduce the process and then turn on this 2-minute timer and let you journal however you would like, or meditate, or whatever you want to do, for 2 minutes. So there'll be one chime at the end and one chime at the beginning and one chime at the end. That'll be 2 minutes, and then we'll go to the next one. Okay. So the first question is, why do you want to meditate? Which of the benefits that have been listed earlier call to your heart, and what might it mean to you? So 2 minutes on your own. Okay, so finish your sentence, and we'll go to the next one. The next question is, when can you meditate? So look at your calendar. Notice days and times where you could easily fit in a regular meditation session, whether it's once a week, whether it's every morning for a short period of time, whatever. Again, just not right after a meal. Okay, so we'll go another 2 minutes on that. So finish your sentence there. And we're going to move to where will you meditate? In your mind's eye, look around your home, indoors and out, right? When the weather's nice, find a place to be outside, to notice quiet, comfortable spaces, or where you could create personal sanctuaries with items that are uplifting and joyful. So 2 minutes. Okay. And the next topic, how will you get support from family and friends? So basically the people you live with. The best thing you can do is let them know that here's your schedule, here's what you're planning on, and ask not to be disturbed during that time. Share with them the benefits as you notice your practice matures. Okay, so 2 minutes on that topic. Okay. Next. What could prevent you from continuing? We're going to do these next two together. And how will you evaluate the benefits of your meditation practice? Okay, we got one more here. Which meditation techniques will you use? So I got them back on the screen here. And just visualize what feels interesting to you, maybe something that you've practiced before. And as you start your home meditation practice, you just kind of notice when I do this kind of meditation, I just get so deep and so quiet. Whereas if I do this one, I really stay really busy or I find myself tensing up. So there's no right or wrong. But just for now, for this 2 minutes, take a look and notice which ones just seem kind of interesting to you that you might want to start with. All right, so finish that up. You can set down your journal. Come back into the room here. So I want to move into the nature connection and the concept of caring for the earth while you live the rest of your life. So the main emphasis for the Resilient Activist organization focuses around these 5 essentials for a resilient world. With practice, the concepts explored through each of these essentials become a mindfulness practice for how to live in harmony with the natural world. So we'll have some blog posts. There's a lot of links in there to read more about this in depth on our website. But let's review them first because they can be interpreted 2 ways. Externally, as a way to support the healthy natural environment, and internally as ways to support more resilient humans. So externally, we'll go to reconnecting to nature. This is where you intentionally notice the weather, the land you're on, the season, the plants and wildlife. You make plans to spend quality time in natural areas because we protect what we understand and what we love. Respect all life. This is an opportunity to reflect on the community of others, communities that differ from yours, as well as non-human communities of wildlife, insects, and plants, all the living beings. Regreen our planet. This is an opportunity to replenish our natural landscapes with native or pollinator habitat, to compensate for paved and mowed areas around our homes and offices. It's also an opportunity to volunteer or donate to organizations that plant trees or restore ecosystems. Revamp our spending. This is an opportunity to let your money and purchasing power reflect an understanding of the impact of your purchases on earth, humans, and wildlife. And finally, replenish our resources. Giving back to the earth in gratitude for all it's given us. So this includes things like conserving water, composting, recycling, reversing the process of taking from the earth. So we're going to examine these internally in more detail in this upcoming meditation on the 5 essentials, but here are some brief highlights. We'll take a look at these from the internal perspective. Reconnect to nature. Many of us feel a sense of oneness and well-being in a place that we love, in nature. Respect all life. This means honoring you, respecting your life, and honoring your own boundaries and time and commitment. Regreen our planet. An opportunity to create glorious native gardens at home so you can easily notice the colors, shapes, forms, and patterns of the nature around you, especially during stressful times. Revamp your spending. This is a way you can tune into how you spend your money, of course, but also how you spend your time, your attention, and your energy. Replenish your resources. When you give and give and give without replenishing your own needs, that's when burnout, grief, and overwhelm can kick in. So we are going to come into a meditation. This is a longhorned bee on native blue sage, blooming in the pollinator prairie in Olathe, Kansas, one of my favorite places. So I invite you to join me in this guided meditation, exploring the 5 essentials for a resilient world from a sense of your personal well-being. We're going to do this following those 9 steps to meditation that we talked about, and it'll be in your handout. So start off just getting comfortable. Physical comfort. Make sure your back and arms and knees are supported, your feet are flat on the ground. And just take a deep breath and begin to slow your breathing. Check the alignment of your head, your neck and shoulders and your hips. Wiggle out or twist or stretch, whatever you need to do to release some tension. We come into step 2, mindful presence. For just a moment, notice your location. Notice the sense of the earth and gravity beneath you. Notice the season and the current weather. Take one more deep breath, and then either close your eyes or gently drop your gaze down towards the floor. Step 3, we come into setting an intention or a focus. Let your focus be in your heart for just a moment, and set your intention statement or say a soft prayer. You may just choose to focus on clarity or calm or acceptance of some aspect of your life. Step 4, we move into physical sensations. Take another full inhalation, and with your exhalation, bring your attention to the crown of your head. Imagine you could relax there. You become aware of your forehead. Let go tension through your mouth and throat. Release any gripping through the shoulders, and the armpits, the elbows, and the hands. You soften through the chest and belly as you release through the pelvis and hips. Notice the weight of your glutes and thighs as you let go any gripping through the legs and the feet. Imagine with each out breath that you connect with gravity and the support of the earth beneath you. Step 5, quieting with the breath. Slowly, for the next few breaths, follow the inhalation from your nostrils through the throat and down into the lungs. And then follow the out breath back out from the lungs, past the throat and out through your nostrils. Nothing else to focus on, think about. Nothing to check off your task list. You're just simply following the breath in and out. Notice if there's a sensation that you could soften around the rib cage. Let the deep breath deepen just slightly. And then we move into step 6, the meditation technique. Today's visualization is an inner journey through the 5 essentials for a resilient world. We start with reconnect to nature. Take a few moments to remember one of your favorite places in nature. Imagine that you could gently step into this place and then visualize your surroundings through all your senses. What might you see? Colors, shapes, and movement. What sounds catch your attention? As you inhale, what fragrances do you notice through the breeze or from the soil? What's the sensation of the temperature and sunlight on your skin? And we move into respect all life. Take a full in breath and out breath and drop your attention to your heart center and notice any emotions or thoughts that arise. Visualize the faces of those you love, those people who nurture and support you, and those people that you nurture and support. Bring to your mind's eye images of wildlife and plant communities that make you smile. Imagine that you could make eye contact with them or communicate in some way, and how does that feel? We move to regreen our planet. Visualize places near your home and at work where you could install more nature, native gardens for pollinator habitat, maybe nuts or fruit trees, maybe your own homegrown vegetables. And how does it feel to imagine yourself surrounded by more nature at home and at work? And we move into revamping your spending. Reflect for a moment on your work-life balance in terms of spending time, energy, with a balance on exercise, intellectual and creative pursuits. Take a moment to evaluate what's important to you. And we move into replenish your resources. What do you do now to nurture your mind, body, and spirit? And what areas of your life could use a little replenishing, and how you might make that happen? And then take a full in breath and a full out breath. And we'll come into step number 7, true meditation. Sitting in silence for a few moments, simply noticing your breath, body, and thoughts. And then remind yourself your original intention statement or prayer, and notice how it feels to your heart and mind. And step 9, send gratitude. Spend a few moments noticing whatever you're grateful for in this moment. And when you're ready, with one more deep breath, flicker your eyes open and come back into the room. We're going to take about a 3-minute journaling here. Whatever insights, reactions, ideas that come to mind, put it down on paper if you'd like. Okay. So going a little quickly here. These are benefits of time spent in nature. You notice that meditating in nature and about nature is a big focus for the resilient activist. So there are studies in your resources list on the benefits of all of these in nature. Benefit recovery from surgery, improve creative reasoning, forest therapy for cardiovascular relaxation, and time in nature can make you kinder, happier, and more creative. This is a list of books and other really great articles. And again, that's all in your handout. And some ways that you can bring many of these same benefits into your workplace, okay, for staff, volunteers, customers, or clients, whatever. Create an early morning nature walk or before events. Do it as a group. Have a designated meditation spot and invite someone in your office to be the facilitator. Create spaces that feel safe and protected, but resonate with the natural world. Begin meetings by tapping into nature. So share something that's seasonal or something interesting that someone found out in nature, or a special place or memory. Use nature metaphors instead of thinking outside the box, for example. What about thinking outside the nest? The more we weave nature language into our lives, the more its benefits stay in our hearts and minds. Bring nature into the office and the homes. We're taught to only take pictures and leave only footprints, but there's all kinds of rocks, twigs, leaves, and artwork that are not in a place that's protected that would love to give you a little comfort and joy. And embrace mindfulness programs and practices as part of your everyday work environment as a hedge towards long-term resilience. So the resilient activists, I'm going to go just kind of let you take a look at these. We have all kinds of events coming up and ways to help support your environmental journey. I hope that you'll take advantage of some of these. Most of our programs at this point are at no cost. I will invite you to make your most generous donation to us. You can just go to the website. If what you've received today or content on our site inspires you, your financial support would be really, really well appreciated. So there we are. This is the resources page. I'll be sending out an email with the links, all the links, and to that page, as well as the link to the recording once this is rendered, and then information about the April event that AY will be presenting at that. So Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh noted the best way to take care of the environment is to take care of the environmentalist. So I invite you to let us know how we can support you. And with that, I'm done. And so we have not nearly as much time as I'd hoped, but I would like to hear, we have about 9 minutes left. Robert, you would like to say something. Feel free, unmute yourself. Oh, okay. Are you speaking? We can't hear you. Okay.
Sorry, just giving you a hand. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Who has comments? Anything you'd like to share or questions to ask? Something you noticed? Phoebe?
One thing I
go
brought
ahead.
up, and one thing I learned to meditate was in calligraphy. I had Japanese at KU in the 80s. And we were always taught when we were writing that to use that as, we could use that as a meditation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything like that that focuses your mind, focuses your body. You have to be in the right mind space to make beautiful calligraphy. Perfect technique. Love it. Thanks, Robert. Phoebe?
So obviously there's like a mind-body connection and an environmentalist connection per se, but
Phoebe, you're breaking up. Phoebe,
I'm sorry.
we missed all that. Would you like to type it in the chat? You were kind of frozen. So
Sure.
that frozen again now. Type it in the chat, sorry. Sandy Sanders.
I've been to countless meditation retreats and things, but this presentation, whatever you want to call it, brought together more pieces of the puzzle than anything I've ever been involved in before. And I really, really appreciate it.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it was when you asked before about how did I get all this together. It's going to be interesting to see how it evolved where it all tied together for me, you know. So thank you. I'm glad that that was a benefit for you. Who else? Ruth?
The questions that you took us through, the what, when, where, why, how, that was, I mean, that just gave me the foundation to launch into regular practice of meditation. I can't thank you enough.
You are so welcome. And all of that's on that resources page. So you can kind of go through it again. I'm really glad that was.
Oh, I took notes.
That's cool.
Well, it's in a journal that I write important things in. So, I won't lose it.
Cool. Well, good. I'm really glad this was helpful. Brenda, go ahead.
Just to say thank you. It's exactly what I needed today. I felt really scattered and very emotional, especially in the last couple of weeks. So thank you. It's exactly what I needed today.
Welcome, Brenda. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to read Phoebe's. Phoebe, I don't know, you got frozen a little earlier too. And you just said, appreciate going through the 5 essentials for a resilient world through both an environmental perspective and personal perspective. The two are so incredibly linked. So it was very nourishing perspective to absorb. I'm so glad. Cool. Sally?
Yes, I want to thank you for this experience. It really helped. In fact, I was so relaxed, I almost dozed off. I mean, I just went, whoo. My blood pressure went from up in the 80s down to 69. So I'm like, whoo. Or heartbeat did that.
Heart rate,
Yeah, so that was wonderful. And I appreciate all the information. How do I get the printouts that you were referring to?
I'm going to send an email. It'll probably be Monday. So I have to do some editing on this video and I'll put it on our YouTube page and I'll send an email with the link to that, the link to all the other resources, everything that I mentioned today.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Sandy, go ahead. And I'm going to give Sandy just a little extra time to talk about her new project.
Well, when we talked about where, the first thought is I'm always sitting on my sofa. So that's where I normally meditate. But then I came up with a long list of why not do, before I get stressed out when I get nervous when I'm going to get on a call with somebody, or even right now, or maybe before and after those interactions. And then I'd like to incorporate it into walks. So I don't know, do you have walking meditations on the site as well? So I'm not sure what that looks like.
I don't have anything but Google it because it is a real thing. And you just want to be a place where you don't have to watch for traffic, right? You're not climbing. So this is not a hike. Forest therapy, that Shinrin Yoku, is a meander in a natural place that's very safe. And it's like you're just in mindful connection with the space that you're in, noticing every single thing through all of your senses. So wherever you want to do that, in a place that feels safe, protected, where you don't have to focus and you're not looking around too much, walking meditation is great. I need to add that to my list. Thank you. Yeah.
And I thought photography would fit in too, because I've always thought I like macro, so that kind of brings in the focus. If you were to throw a hula hoop on the ground, I mean, just the world that's in that hula hoop, if you get down on that level, I think that that might be a form of meditation. I don't know, just paying attention, using my
is.
phone and taking pictures, So
If, yeah, if what you're taking pictures of is something you're so mindful and so attuned to, and you feel that you are really in connection with that photograph and what you're photographing, that is a mindfulness practice in the same way that painting could be or artwork. It's different than just having your camera everywhere, taking selfies.
right.
You would have a really hard time convincing me that could be mindful, right? But when you are truly in tune with it, and those images of photographers we know and love, nature photographers especially, that's, you can tell this person got it. They got, oh my gosh, this is from their heart, their energy, really connecting. So yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what happened on the 13th.
Oh, well, I finally launched a book. All I have is the author's copy here, but it's got a line through it. But
Can you read the
and I
title?
think Sammy,
Read the
yeah, it's Family Survival Guide for Our Changing Climate, 52 Empowering Actions You and Your Family Can Take Now. And I think, Sammy, you're familiar with it. Used to be, it was a weekly email series. So I've decided, I've been trying to write this book for a couple of years. COVID hit, I wanted to back off, and then the political scene happened. So I just didn't want to launch during the last 9 months, right? So I just felt now it's time. Something told me to do it. And instead of just a book, I really want to empower individuals to know that, there's no need to be overwhelmed and stressed out over it. We're focusing on reducing our footprint, 50% by 2030. And it can be done in small steps if we start now. So the book is written for, not for climate scientists per se, but for those just regular families out there, knowing that they can make a difference, and it does make a difference, everything we do. And around that, I'm building a community. We're going to do challenges, reduce 10% in a month, reduce your carbon footprint 10%. And then build an online community around that so that individuals can share and grow much like you do. So that's what we're kicking off. I've been very busy with it, but again, it's for those, not even those of us here in the room, but those that just everyday individuals that I look out, and that's what made me depressed. When you drive around and there's 1,000 cars surrounding you, you look around and say, do those people care at all? So I've moved past that and focusing on the positive and giving people ways that they can make a difference and see the difference. So
that's great, Sandy. Congratulations. I will put the link to the book on the email that I send out.
thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything? We're 2 minutes over. All right. I want to thank you all for coming. And we'll have our February climate conversations. February 20th is in partnership with Heartland Conservation Alliance, and it will be held on the Blue River in Kansas City. It will also be held on Zoom. And so I'll be doing a guided nature meditation on the river. People can either be at the river, they're going to have a socially distanced event. It'll be at either Minor Park or Alex George Lake, which are really close to each other. So people can really spread out. It'll be partly river cleanup, planting of native, I think they're going to have seed ball throwing contests or something. And we'll do this guided meditation. And for those of you who are not in the area, or if the weather's bad, I'll be sitting in my nice warm office with really good internet reception. And I'm going to be, so you can join on Zoom. Everybody will join on Zoom. So if they're out on the river, they'll just download the Zoom app on their phones, and then they can join in that way. So anyway, or it's going to be 11 to 2 on that third Saturday. It's a little different time than our usual climate conversations.
And what's
Anything
the
else?
date of that?
It's February 20th. And
February,
so
okay.
Robert can't be there. It will be recorded also. So at least my portion of it, I'll be recording, and we'll have that up on our YouTube site. All right. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you.
Go
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful rest of this week. And 2021 is going to be so much more interesting, I think, maybe, than 2020. We'll see. Take care.
Bye-bye.